Running a small business or nonprofit comes with enough challenges. Your accounting shouldn't be one of them. At Jacobs and Associates, CPA, LLC, we specialize in clear, reliable financial guidance tailored for small businesses and nonprofits. From everyday accounting to full outsourced CFO services, we help you make smarter decisions with confidence. Call us at 407 571 6995 or email tarsha at jacobs.cpa to discuss how we can meet your needs. Jacobs and Associates, your trusted partner in financial clarity. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 5 Minutes in Coffee. My name is Jerry, and I am glad to be back sharing God's Word with you. Today, I want to talk to you about selfishness. Before we get into today's lesson, I want you to think about a time in your life where you regretted a decision. Something that you did that you regret. And I want you to consider whether or not selfishness played a role in the decision that you regretted. So I asked my child, I said, "Hey, what do you think I should talk about for my podcast episode?" And my child said, "You should talk about selfishness. You should talk about Jacob and Esau." I said, that is a great idea. So we are going to look at the story of Jacob and Esau that most of us know pretty well. And we are going to discuss what transpired between them. So Genesis chapter 25, verses 33 and 34. But Jacob said, "Swear an oath to me now." So Esau swore an oath to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and lentil stew. Esau ate and drank, then got up and went out. So Esau despised his birthright. So, long story short, Esau is supposed to be blessed. Esau gets really hungry. Jacob says, "Hey, I can give you this meal if you give me your birthright." Esau says, "Okay." And that's in a nutshell what happened. Definitely read chapter 25 to get a better context. Read the entire book of Genesis to get an even better foundation. When we think about Esau, something to be aware of is Esau may have been hungry, but Esau was not in poverty. Think about Abraham. Abraham was blessed. He had a son, Isaac. Isaac was blessed. Esau was to be blessed. The fact that Esau is Isaac's son means that he was not going to starve. He was just hungry in that moment. This wasn't a time of famine and desperation. This was a time of hunger. So in that initial question that I asked you, rooted back to your regretful decision, my question is, was it rooted in selfishness? The reason why I asked that question is when we consider Esau, he made that decision based on his need at that exact moment and not what God had in store for him, which is an element of selfishness. I'm choosing my needs right now, despite what the Lord is going to bless me with. And we can pick on Esau. We can mock his decision making, but we also have to look in the mirror. So yes, Jacob did find Esau vulnerable and he took advantage of him. But just because Jacob is wrong doesn't mean that Esau is not wrong. Esau ultimately made the decision to agree to Jacob's demand. And we do know Jacob would then later reap what he sowed in that relationship. And I think in this society that Esau's reaction is a great reflection of where we are today, where there was an urgency for him to receive this food right away, despite what it cost him. So how does that transpire today? Right now, let's say, and I know with the economy and just so many different things that many people may not agree with this, but bear with me. But let's say in this example, a person has their physical needs met. Their material possessions are enough to cover what they need. They are not wanting. They may not have the best of the best, but they are not wanting. So what do? We look across the street and we see that brand new car. We look at the ads, we look on Amazon, and we say, man, that right there is nice. I'm going to get me one. We look at our finances and we can't necessarily obtain said item because we just can't afford it. So somehow, some way, we jump through hoops. We destroy all of the roadblocks that God has placed in front of us so that we do not find ourselves in position to try to obtain things that we don't need, and we go get that thing. So previously, before you got said item, you may not have had what you desired, but you had peace. You had what you needed. But because of our eyes, because of our urgent need, because of our desires, we sacrifice that reliable car that's not beautiful, and we go get that more expensive car that now takes a monthly commitment. We sacrifice that modest home, and now we go get that bigger home that has a really big mortgage and the interest rates are jumping up and down. We sold our peace for a temporary need or for a temporary desire. Your situation and my situation may not mirror that exact situation exactly, but do we sometimes look at what we have, despise it like Esau, and go out and get what we think is an immediate and urgent blessing? So for that one meal, Esau didn't even try to negotiate a you make my meals for the next year for this birthright. For one meal, he lost his blessing, which would then fracture his relationship with his brother, which would also demonstrate some dynamics within their family. Selfishness will make us key in on something we truly desire despite the cost, and we lose focus of the entire picture. We narrow in and we go after that item, and then it causes some type of pain or some type of discomfort, some type of fracture within relationships simply because we are selfish. We're only looking at how we feel now, what we want now, what we're going to do now, and we're not looking at the entirety of our lives, the entirety of our relationships, the entirety of our finances, the entirety of our decisions. So yes, in my selfish times, most of me knew that I was being selfish in some way or another. And the selfishness started when I wanted what I wanted despite what God wanted for me. And that's generally when I look at those decisions and say, I regret that. I wish I had not done that. I wish I had not chose that. I wish that this had not happened. But typically what happens is I got focused on something. I wanted something, but I did not appreciate the peace that God had given me, or I did not appreciate the promise that he would sustain me. And I would go out, make a selfish decision, pay the price, and live with regret. So yes, I can laugh at Esau and I can make fun of his decision making, but I can't say that I'm any better because I don't know whose example Esau could learn from, but I do know I at least have his example. So my child just gave me such an interesting concept to think of this week is, where am I being selfish by not allowing God to lead my life in the way that he should? Where am I fracturing my relationships with selfishness because I'm not allowing God to take hold of those and doing what he said to do? Where am I being selfish that's getting in the way of me being a good steward of God's blessings? These are questions that I'm asking myself, and these are questions that I'm also asking you. If you have found that this episode was beneficial for you, gave you something to think about, then I ask that you just share it with one person. This is Jerry with 5 Minutes and Coffee.